Imagine a warm summer evening in a picture-perfect HOA neighborhood. A young man's garage door lifts to welcome neighbors. Food is grilling, music drifts on a breeze, and an innocent get-together spirals into the most absurd 911 call you could imagine. You'll hear how one neighbor's fear turned into a full-blown police response, only for the truth to come out in the most unforgettable way. So if you like stories like this, like and subscribe for more. I always thought the biggest risk at my garage hangout would be a noise complaint. My name's Ion, and I live on a block where the lawns could be measured with a ruler and the front yard decor must pass HOA muster. I don't just mow, I edge. I don't just park, I measure. But nothing I'd done prepared me for the night my little brother Samir flew in from out of town, and our cousin Bilal convinced me to throw a low-key garage party. By Friday afternoon, I'd cleared out our two cars, swept every corner of the floor, draped some spare LED strips, set folding chairs in a semicircle, and parked the cooler by the side door. The garage door would stay halfway up so we'd get air while the grill churned out burgers and wings. At 7:30, people began to drift in. Samir's training buddies were the first to arrive. I assumed they were gym pals. Instead, three of the calmest, most alert-looking men stepped through the entrance wearing plain tees and jeans, scanning the space like pros. One introduced himself as Marcus. He shook my hand, nodded to Bilal, then quietly assessed my friends. Two more arrived just like him, friendly but tuned into every corner. By 8 a.m. the music was playing softly. Samir was juggling wings and stories. Bilal was topping the cooler with ice, and guests were teasing Samir about his new haircut. We even had homemade samosas someone brought over. It felt like a perfect Friday evening, until I saw her. Linda, the neighborhood's self-appointed rules enforcer, appeared at the end of my driveway. She was known for dog walking with a clipboard and snapping photos of slightly crooked cars. I stepped out with a paper plate piled high. "Hey, Linda, everything good?" Her gaze cut straight to my half-open garage door. "Do you have a permit for this gathering?" "Permit?" I blinked, feeling ridiculous. "It's just family and friends. We'll wrap up by 10. She pointed at the cooler. "What's in there?" "Drinks, ice, snacks," I said too quickly, glancing back at Samir and his friends. Linda took a step forward, neck craned, eyes counting heads. "How many people are inside? This looks excessive." I heard laughter from inside and could almost feel her scowl deepen. "I need you to shut this down," she demanded. I'm not usually confrontational, but something inside me bristled. "No, we're not hurting anyone. Leave us be." Linda turned on her heel, whipped out her phone, and marched down the sidewalk. Bilal joined me, smirking. "She's calling someone, bro." "Probably the hotline," I joked. But Bilal shook his head. "No, she's serious." I went back into the garage, tension prickling the air. Marcus was telling a tale about locking your keys in the car while you hold them. Everyone laughed, until I whispered to Samir, "Who exactly are these training buddies?" Samir grinned like he'd been waiting for this. "Off-duty cops." My brain stalled. Cops? "Yeah, man, just winding down after a long week." He sounded casual, like he was explaining they were accountants. I looked around and saw the way they stood. Feet shoulder width, back straight, hands never hidden. I felt my cheeks flush. Before I could protest, Marcus glanced toward the driveway. "Someone's filming." Through the garage gap, I spotted Linda across the street, phone raised like she was recording a hostage standoff. Then I saw her lips move. "Yes, I'm calling the police." A faint wail of sirens began at the edge of hearing, not one, but multiple cars. I could almost taste my pulse pounding. Inside the garage, everything froze. Marcus exchanged a look with Samir. She did it, Samir whispered. Chairs scraped as guests rose, music cut off without cue, yet no one panicked. They simply raised their hands slightly, ready. I stepped out again, raising both hands. Linda, really? 911? She smiled wide. Yes, I'm concerned. Lots of men in a garage, open door, possible alcohol. Unsafe. She pivoted to face the street, phone still rolling. I'll be here when the police arrive. From behind her, a neighbor peeked out of a window. Another cracked open a front door and froze at the sight. I swallowed. Marcus leaned into the doorway, voice calm. Ma'am, we're off-duty law enforcement. Linda spun on him. Don't talk to me. I called 911. Marcus nodded. We know. His tone made her pause, but she doubled down. When the cops show up, I'll tell them everything. The way sirens drew nearer. Flashing red and blue reflections danced on every perfectly trimmed hedge. Doors swung open on patrol cars. Officers poured out, hands instinctively reaching for belts. Everyone back inside the garage. Hands where we can see them, one shouted. Without hesitation, every person, including me, stepped in, raised their hands, and stayed silent. Linda's head snapped toward us. See? Guilty footage right there? A tall cop approached her. Ma'am, did you place the call? Yes. I didn't feel safe. He nodded. Thank you. We'll handle it. Then another officer came to me. You the homeowner? I nodded. He glanced through the garage, recognition dawning. Marcus, he said. Marcus lowered his hands in a nod. Evening, Jake. The officer's jaw dropped. Jake? What are you doing off duty here? Backyard barbecue, Marcus replied lightly. Another officer whispered, Is that Louise? And Chen? Soon, names passed down the line. Every guest was a fellow officer. Realization cracked the street quiet. Radios rustled with updates. False alarm, friendly gathering, no threat. Linda's proud smile faded. One moment, Jake said, approaching her gently. These are law enforcement off-duty. She stared, phone halfway in the air. That can't be. It is, Jake said. We're friends, having a private party. Her lip trembled. Behind her, neighbors gathered on lawns, whispering. Jake turned to the group and back to Linda. Ma'am, you reported us as armed and dangerous. That's misuse of emergency services. Her phone slipped. You can't do that. We can, he said, folding his arms. And we will. The senior officer stepped forward, calm authority in every stride. Who called? And why? His question made Linda's knees wobble. I did. For safety. Tell me exactly what you saw. She rattled off bullets. Large gathering, men watching the street, possible weapons, alcohol. He listened, then unfolded a small notepad. We're aware of your recent calls. Noise complaints, suspicious vehicles that weren't suspicious, unsubstantiated drug rumors. Murmurs rippled through neighbors now watching up close. I never exaggerate, she snapped. Jake replied gently, Ma'am, documenting is different from fabricating emergencies. The senior officer added, Abuse of 911 can lead to fines or worse. His tone brooked no argument. Linda's phone dropped to the sidewalk. She bent to pick it up, then left it there. For the first time, she wasn't documenting anything. Police officers exchanged nods, shook hands with Marcus, Samir, and Bilal. Sirens quieted, lights dimmed. The senior officer came to me. File a complaint, he said low. Tonight supports your case. I exhaled. Linda didn't protest or glare. She turned and walked away, head down, phone forgotten. Once the last cruiser left, we restarted the playlist. Bilal cracked open a soda, raised it to Marcus, who lifted his in return. A quiet cheer went up. Weeks later, Linda resigned from the HOA board. Neighbors said when the fear evaporated, they finally spoke up. And our block learned what happens when emergency services meet an overzealous caller and well-trained responders. If you'd like more stories like these, please like and subscribe.